at age 6, that one conversation you had, that very mature conversation, kind of shaped your life. That's quite impressive. Having a neurological condition myself since I was a young teenager, I had a similar discussion with myself, but much later on. So I'm kind of perplexed and stunned that you were able to come to that conclusion at such an early age, and it shaped your life for the better, because I think what you said is absolutely correct. Whether it's historically or whether it's current, it's not the disability that is the issue, it's the perception from society, right? That makes people like us question ourselves and our value and our worth. So, the perception needs to change.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it still didn't negate the fact that I sought medical intervention and also sought spiritual intervention.
Mm-hmm.
But in all these, something keeps telling me, or even at the time, something was telling me that, hey, Justice, come rain, come shine, your destiny remains in your hands.
Yeah.
And how you handle it will determine how far you would go in life. And I also remember a very powerful inspiration by one of my mentors. Then I was in the university. And he called me. We were having a conversation. And he asked me to come closer to him. I did. And he told me, Justice. He hit my chest, my left chest, 3 times. And he said, whatever you will become tomorrow will depend on your heart, not your blindness.
Yeah.
So do not use blindness as an excuse for your failure. And do not use blindness as an excuse for your success. But whatever you become tomorrow will definitely come from your heart. So sometimes the inspiration and motivation we receive from others, we read, we study, we hear, adds to shaping our perspectives and the ability to separate one statement or situation from the other. Because sometimes it depends on who is speaking to you. Who is your influencer? Who are you listening to? Are you listening or paying attention to the very particular person who will tell you that disability is a disease, that disability is a curse, and you keep listening to that person? How would you expect change in your life?
Mm-hmm.
So what determines the positive change is finding connection with like minds who would give you positive inspiration that will show you the way to your success. So all these and many more contribute in shaping my perspective, my view about life, not just for myself as a person with a disability, But for myself, in my environment, my general environment, my personal environment, my interaction with people, sometimes when I interact with people, I feel like, is this guy really blind? Or sometimes they would ask me, how do I know all these things? But the truth is that I take time to reflect. I observe my environment, and all these things are born out of the very conversation I had when I was 6 years old.
Sounds like you got very good advice, and the fact that you were able to make that distinction between what your mentor said, and you were able to understand what your mentor said, that your blindness is what you'll make of it, right? Many people still use their disability as a crutch or as an excuse, right? And the fact that you learned very early on that has nothing to do with it. It's what's in your heart and your mind. I think just attests to your life attests to that, shows how far you've come. You completed your law education back in Nigeria, and now you're pursuing your master's here in the US. So I truly do commend you. One question that I have on behalf of my viewers. So how did you, and how does one, for you at such an early age, how does one differentiate and produce that self-esteem in contrast to what society says, that your disability is bad, your disability is a curse, your disability is a crutch, your disability is something to be ashamed of, because you clearly rose above that. And it sounds like your environment in Africa wasn't really conducive to you rising up, but you did it anyway. So if you could share some of your experience and shed some light on that.
Okay, so first is sometimes I challenge the concept of self-esteem. I mean, especially the low self-esteem. I think for me, I mean, my history is so dark. I have a very rough, experience growing up as a child. Okay, something in me keeps fighting. I have a very strong spirit. I fight a lot for justice. I may not physically fight, but I use my brain. Now, to answer that question, I think one thing I usually do is to stand in front of a mirror. I may not see myself because I am blind, but I have that mental picture that justice is in standing in front of a mirror. And I'll begin to speak to myself. I'll begin to admire how beautiful I am and how beautifully made I am. I don't have to be physically handsome before I call myself beautiful. I don't have to, look or conform to general standard. Sometimes there is this phrase in English that necessity is the mother of invention. As I am blind, what can I offer? Is there anything? Because people have already decided that the life of a blind man may end on the street as a street beggar, may depend on charity.
Mhm.
Now, to myself, I would ask myself, is that correct? And obviously, my answer would be no, that is not correct. So how then do I need to change the narrative? Maybe by struggling to go to school. If I cannot make it in school, then learn one or two skills. It could be listening to public speakers to learn some public speaking skills. It could be anything, but you must have something. You must try to examine and re-examine yourself to discover the hidden talent which no other person can discover but you. And trust me, sometimes even when you discover the talent, people around you will try to discourage you.
Yeah.
They could tell you, oh, no, Justice, this is too hard for you. How could you do this?
Mhm.
So you have to prepare. What I do is that I prepare some hypothetical questions and provide answers beforehand, because those questions are likely gonna come up. And I didn't start this when I was a child. As I kept growing up, from my experiences, I began to formulate ideas on how to control my environment. I started to sharpen my other sense organs. Since I am blind, my hearing have to improve. My speaking ability has to improve. My ability to walk or to feel my environment has to scale up. Now, I understand that some people may not be able to hear and see due to their disability, but trust me, the world is too vast, too wide for all of us. You know yourself better, and it's a continuous practice. And if you think that your environment is too hard or not accommodating, if you can shift a little from that environment, maybe not permanently, then do that. For me, I try to get rid of any obstacle that comes my way or comes on the way of my destiny. So the bottom line is, first, see yourself as a human. Don't seek validation from anybody. If they validate you, fine. If they don't, fine. So don't rely on their validation. That's number one. Then number two, always remind yourself that you are a human and you deserve your dignity and your respect. Then the third one, examine yourself and re-examine yourself. It's a continuous practice to discover something that nobody knows about you. Then the fourth one, seek like minds. Ask questions. Look for those who may have similar challenges or those who may have solutions to your challenges.
Mhm.
Interact with them. And sometimes acknowledge that they might discourage you. So you could just start by saying, hey, I know that what I'm about to say now, you may doubt, but here is my point.
Amazing.
Then the last but not the least, have an open mind to embrace change. Change is mostly very difficult, very hard. But if change is very necessary for your success, please endure the pain and embrace the change. You can be flexible with yourself. Don't be fixated. Don't stick to one thing. When you see that this particular thing is not working, find something else that would work. Because sometimes things are not working. It's not necessarily our fault, but maybe the fault of what we knew, what we have been told before. Oh, you must be a lawyer. Oh, you must be an engineer. Oh, you must be this. Oh, you must be that. Our parents sometimes tend to live up their dreams through their children, which is totally wrong. So the historical societal problems can influence our decisions. And that's why I would say, keep an open mind. When you try one, if it doesn't work, you try the other. So I don't know if I've addressed the question. And please, if I haven't, I'll be very happy, maybe after this session, to continue in addressing the question.
You addressed the question very aptly, Justice. Thank you for your wise words.